Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another week of the Overwatch League 8-Pack Edition. I'm Achilleos here with Avril. We're going to be carrying on our merry way down this road that we call the Midseason Madness Qualifiers. And here we go, kicking things off. An ever-important series, as per usual. It's going to be the Fusion going up against the Guangzhou Charge. Charge already far out of contention to be able to participate in Midseason Madness, but the Fusion have to win.
I'm gonna be real. I couldn't hear you, Seth. So I don't know what you said. I imagine just the standard stuff here. I don't know if you can hear me at all, but yeah, we got some great games coming up today.
I can hear you now, and you should be able to hear me.
Woo! There it is.
There we go.
I know what you're saying.
Well, minor adjustments.
We're talking to each other again. There we go. We're in here. We're in here for the final week of the Qualifier for Midseason Madness. As you can see, the season standings here. 3 teams have clinched their way into the tournament. 2 teams have been eliminated, and only 1 spot remains between the Philadelphia Fusion and the Chengdu Hunters. We've got our orange teams currently battling for the 4th and final seed going into the actual tournament itself. Our first international of the entire year. A lot at stake for those 2 teams.
Yep, we can only afford a half order of the Orange Chicken Bowl for the Midseason Madness, so we'll see which one of these 2 teams is going to be able to qualify. Like you said, Fusion up that point. That is the one little advantage that they have for themselves at the moment, but they do come into the series and get ready to take battle against the Guangzhou Charge, who, while they are 1-9, while they are at the bottom of the standings and cannot qualify for the tournament themselves, have put up some decent performances from time to time. Thinking back, Choice A1 popping off, taking down Profit. Fusion cannot go into this matchup lightly. They cannot be expecting to have a free win, because that complacency is when you can get caught off guard.
I think for the Fusion so far, they've had a really interesting season. We started out in Kickoff Clash. They make it to the finals. They defeat the Shanghai Dragons 3-0 both times. But in the recent form, the Shanghai Dragons are more than caught up. They defeat the Fusion 3-0 instead. Fusion have also lost a couple other games in there. Most notably, they did actually lose to the Chengdu Hunters, which will affect them a little bit, because when we get to head-to-heads and we get to tiebreakers, if Fusion end up having the same points as the Chengdu Hunters are probably going to get in there. So Fusion, they need to rack up these games, because they have that 1 extra point ahead, like you sort of mentioned. They only need to win 1 game to force the Hunters to win 2 games. So if the Hunters win 2 games, Fusion have to basically also win 2 games. They cannot be tied with the Chengdu Hunters. They have to be ahead of the Chengdu Hunters. And so this one to start things out with versus the Guangzhou Charge, who we'll introduce here as well. The Philadelphia Fusion, I mean, it's of utmost importance that this is definitely the game they win, because the game that they have to play afterwards is versus Seoul, where they have much less of a chance.
Yeah. Well, here's the Guangzhou Charge starting 5. We will be seeing Krong once more. Winston hasn't been as much in the meta, so we're just going to be taking the back seat. Sigma, especially, has been coming up quite a bit, and Krong was formerly one of our best Sigma players in the league, a role star, an MVP candidate in his own right, and has been kind of getting back into that form where he's finding a good amount of impact when he does have that pick coming through. So we'll see how the team looks today, because pretty much everybody on this roster has shown incredible performances throughout their series, even though they often result, except for the first time, in losses. Far away on that Zenyatta, looking utterly impeccable. Unique has had his moments. Krong on the Sigma has been looking good, and Choice A1 kind of consistently throughout has been looking incredible for the Guangzhou Charge, but they haven't been operating at the same level. They haven't been finding their impact together. If it can happen at the same time, the Fusion, they have a whole lot of things to be concerned about.
Yeah, the Guangzhou Charge are currently on a 9-match loss streak as well. The only game they've won so far in the season was versus the LA Valiant in, I think it was the opening day even, of the entire season.
First week, first day?
Yeah, first week, first day. First only win for the Guangzhou Charge since then. Like you said, they've had some inklings of success. They've, taken some maps here. They took Dragons to 5 in that opening kickoff clash as well, which is quite interesting. And they've looked reasonable at points, but only in very sporadic small amounts, right? Like never enough to get a full series. They look decent for a single map, but then the rest of the series, not so much. So for the Guangzhou Charge, we'll see if anything changes here in the final week qualifiers. Obviously, they can't qualify, as we mentioned, but still playing for points, still playing for playoffs opportunities towards the end of the year. One team that they've not had great success against is the Philadelphia Fusion, as you see here on the stat line. 3-0 for Philly. In fact, the last 3 meetings out of 4 total for all-time meetings between these 2 teams, it's been 3-0s in Philly's way the entire way.
And it has been. Clock will now tick down. Gates will open. We'll get ready to jump right into the action. Doomfist out the gate from Krong. Beltria going to be going for the Wrecking Ball. You see Zest there with that Sojourn, but it's going to be Ash Trace on the opposite side.
It's important that Krong has a really good Doomfist here, so we'll see if he's been practicing that over the week as well. When you opt to play your off-tank play instead of your main tank play Rio, right, your dive options cannot at this stage be a D.Va. You pretty much have to be very good Doom, because we're not expecting to play Winston, not expecting Krong to play the ball either. Right away though, it's Philly on point first, so Krong has to move in.
First cap going to be going through. Fusion able to net that one for themselves. Flying, tucked in the corner. Beltria going to be taking a nap here for a brief moment. Tries to slide away. Looks like he will be able to escape, but now can grab that Mega Pack if it's available. Got him right around the corner. Just going to be clipping onto a couple of the members here on the side of the Fusion as Zest takes a nasty headshot, but widely it's going to be all right. Krong now trying to get involved in the back line. The dive is there alongside Choice A1. They took MN3 dangerously low, but they cannot get that elimination. Now the Dynamite is going to be taking away once more as the Belt tries to build up for this Bob. MN3 going to be eliminated. The Dynamite finding the elimination at the end of the day. Good opening kill, but can they play off the back of it? Now they have Beltria gone as well.
It's +2.
Should be able to make something happen here.
Yeah, I mean, they have 2 players, an advantage here. Fusion still waiting for Beltria to return. Guangzhou charge, need to convert further. They have a lot of members in their background. I mean, look at that, they can punch somebody off if possible, but Krong gets taken down, or at least he's been CC'd.
Yep, Unique, however, has fallen, but the flip is there, and it's going to be 3 more kills coming through. Now a 4th as Zest goes off the side of the map. Far away. Casualty here on the back end, but otherwise things looking rather good here for the charge. On the back end of the fight, Krong can rejoin rather quickly.
The interesting thing for the Fusion as well is they don't have a diving DPS outside of Sojin, who's still pretty much a mid-range sniper, right? They're actually running a double sniper composition between both MN3's Ash and their Sojin, and no trace to either punish Krong or the follow-up dives with Beltria, so it is an interesting comp from the Fusion. Not super standard as I would imagine here. Guangzhou Charge have also managed to win that without really using anything, so they got 3 ultimates online, 2 more coming up. I say they won it, but it seems brief because the cap is already gone. They only got 19%. Philadelphia already back on the point.
Alright, here's the Meteor Strike. Dropping in, Krong looking for the punch, looking for something. He's desperately trying to get that green HP, but he cannot. MN3 will finish him off. Choice A1 on its parting gift. Hopefully that pulse bomb, but does get taken down. The Fusion back in control. Charge only able to accrue 19% as Zest gets some squats through. Guangzhou Charge going to have to reset once more. Now they're in the final fight.
That's pretty sad. I mean, 3 ultimates expended. Both the supports ended up not having the opportunity or just didn't end up using those ultimates between the Nano or the Transcendence. Krong diving in deep with the Meteor Strike. Bob being taken down. Philadelphia now in last fight. And they got 4 ultimates played to include their own bomb.
Iran is playing up over the top there, poking and prodding. Desperation going for the Genji. We saw the Genji clutch coming through from MN3 this last week, but yeah, good first kill. God now going to be taken out, but they lose the front line on the side of the Guangzhou Charge with Krong falling. Choice A1 going to be nanoed up, but he's not really able to get into a position to do too much damage. He's still going to be poking and prodding. The Transcendence helps to escort him forward onto the point. MN3 now going to be taken down as Zest goes on the offensive, tries to jump into the back line. He's trying to jump far away, but he cannot. The Dynamite will burn him down. Picks up falling as well, means that the flip should be there for the side of the Charge. They will be able to nab it at 99.
Messy, but thanks to Choice A1's heroics to getting the first kill to aim guard, reduce the amount of healing output from the Philadelphia Fusion. It's really sad to see Krong going down that quickly as well when you have Nanos available. Transcendence coming through as well, but unfortunately all of it just too late. Nano ends up going over towards Choice F1, so next best target, get some damage in there, going to charge and attack with both their DPSs. Will still be able to make the necessary trades even despite the ultimates used by the Philly Fusion. Aim God coming back on the Zen now as well.
And he is Krong going to be taking a nap, knocked to the floor, and he's going to be resting there for a little while longer. God going to be antied out for now. The Dynamite has expired on him, so relatively will be safe. Fusion start making their way back over the point to get this flip back through and try to finish out the map.
Should be a cap.
Zest.
Unless.
Yep, going to be taken down. Choice M1 finding the dash through. Gets that elimination. Krong under fire with the Discord Orb already. Has put the arms up to try to keep himself protected. Has to take a leap away. Grabs the Mega Pack. The flip in the meantime has come through. Bob to contest the point, but it does not last very long at all. They melt through him rather quickly with relative ease. Takes a dead aim god now gone. No supports here for the side of the Philadelphia Fusion. Charge once more have an opportunity to get this flip through. They're getting the cap coming through. Develop with some great shots. And the Charge once more in control.
39% of his team's damage so far. Develop's certainly been putting up the numbers versus the Philly Fusion. And definitely with a couple of reported frags there, including, we saw how the Charge slowed down Fusion, despite Fusion getting 2 picks early. The flip came in, but it comes at a time where Charge can absolutely contest. Bob buying space and time as well. Now Charge can play the final fight. Nanoblade
coming through, rally rolling, Fixa taking the shield bash to try to create some distance. One more slash would finish him off, but Choice1 cannot chase any further forward, and he's already gone too far. MN3 does find that punish. Overtime going to be forced out. Fixa going to be traded. Transcendence out from far away, keeps Unique alive. Zest now going down. The Guangzhou charge might just be able to make this happen. The pile driver not going to connect. The Bellsria is far too low to try to contest. Transcendence now going to be used. Aim God squirting forward, manages to get them here onto the point, but can they win out the fight is the question. Bob going to be invested. MN3 trying to zone them back. Bob taking a nap for now. Krong trying to set up a punch, knock somebody off the side of the map. Instead turns his sights over the Bellsria, who will fall. Aim God taking down moments before. Picks it back in on this Lucio. Just trying to buy some time, trying to play elusive. Hits down to the ground. Krong getting chipped away at, but the heals come through from Unique. They will manage to keep him alive. Pixa continuing to buy some time, eventually does die, and as the OT bleeds away, it's going to be the Guangzhou charge taking the first round.
That's incredible from the Guangzhou charge, honestly. I mean, the ability to stay alive towards the end there, Krong outliving most of his previous lives on this Doomfist in that final fight. Choice1 might have died in an autoplay, but he respawns. I mean, Charge don't really lose anything further than that. Transcendence coming through from far away. Philadelphia Fusion wanted to match the trans towards the end, got grouped away slightly. They only get 3 members up, just keeping Bellsria in, but the damage was lacking. You just definitely did not see the same output from MN3 as you did on Develop, so I got to give it to Develop there. That Ashe worked out in terms of the actual matchup between Charge versus Fusion, and that Ashe versus Ashe, Develop comes out on top in a big way.
Worth mentioning, everybody, we hear the audio as well. It's something that's being worked on at the moment, so just bear with us while that does get fixed. But if you think it's a little bit difficult to watch, just try doing commentary when there's audio coming through from multiple sources. You know, it could be worse for you is what I'm saying. Anyway, Pharah now going to be taking to the sky here. Choice1 changing it up as well. We'll be picking up the Tracer, and then 3 going to have to be his whole person really trying to snipe this far out of the sky.
And that's the thing about playing Pharah in Overwatch 2. You can't really afford to attach the Mercy pocket anymore. Losing that one support to pocket a single Pharah is not really ideal, so if you want to play Pharah, you end up having to play with the Zen, pocketing with the Harmony instead. It seems to be paying off so far with 2 easy frags.
Quick kills coming out. Choice1 getting tagged low, but the Guangzhou charge will be able to establish first control of the point. Rockets pushing forward. Choice1 starting to get a little bit more confidence. He gets 2 direct hits in. MN3 gone. Unique weaving through that Bionade also gets fixed at the same time. So Charge, this fight is a wash. The cleanup going to be coming through now as Fusion have to reset.
6 kills for nothing so far. It's about as clean as you could hope for. Choice1's ultimate charge, by the way, already on 93% after 1 fight. It's an extended fight, right? Again, 6 kills coming on through. Nano almost available. And it's another situation where Barrage is pretty tough. We've seen in previous times, or rare times that we have had Pharah, usually when the Pharah barrages, they just die. So how Charge will protect this Pharah is going to be very interesting to me. Does Choi even really go for much of a barrage? Maybe a solo barrage would be enough.
Okay, clears out the Immortality Field. Good push away from Bellsria, tries to create some space, but the barrage will come through all the same. Both supports dropping to the floor. MN3 only able to finish off the stationary Pharah at the end of it all. Bellsria just trying to escape. Looks like they will leave MN3 to go ahead and send a message back to the other Fusion.
Yeah, it's as I mentioned, right, the Pharah does die, but in that case, you've already deleted the Immortality Field. Just gonna go and sacrifice your life, pick up 3 kills, totally worth it. Next up, we develop to see if we can get a frag. And yeah, this is just gonna be a number of kills coming through. Traded on both ways, though.
Game. 1 for 1, but Aim got down. No transfer, an extended fight. And a very slow walk back for the Zenyatta that likely needs to be protected. Given the Choice1 is going to be hovering around. If he gets on top of him, he will be able to blow him up towards that ult in a pretty poor position. Great stick! From Fixa, Immortality Field goes through, however, keeps him alive. The Pulse Bomb just didn't kill the Immortality Field. Transcendence now going to be used. Far away, suspecting the dive from the back line. Choice1 in the meantime, he is coming up with massive numbers, and as you say, it is last fight. Meteor Strike, Krong trying to stay alive so far. Unique, the only one to get dropped to the side of the Guangzhou charge. Fusion trying to fight tooth and nail to get something done to get themselves onto the point. The minefield is there. Zest will find Farway, but is that going to be good enough? Bellsria can attack lower and lower. The beam comes back online, and they will be able to melt him down. And Choice1 is putting on an absolute clinic. Gets the body block through the window, denying MN3 a little bit of access. He still makes his way through. The Bob is now there to try to contest, and it finishes off Krong. Sleep Dart from Unique will kill MN3, but now they have to clear the Bob and try to deal with him, or just wait him out. This does give it a little bit of an opportunity for Bellsria to try to get back into position. The dash is Zest. Last possible second. Manages to get that touch through. The fight not done yet. Fusion starting to tick up. Belstria charging up the punch, exits to the opposite side. Develop takes the 1v1 there versus Zest for a moment. Now turns his sights away to the opposite side. Name God does go down. Zest moving forward. The pulse bomb goes through, finds Unique, but Develop gets Belstria. Because they want out of the fight. It's going to be 3v3 here for everything, but now Zest is gone. Develop comes up with another one, and that's good enough. They clear the point in the Guangzhou charge. They will draw first blood, taking Lijiang Tower over the Fusion.
Great stuff from the charge. I mean, this is really brilliant play. We got hints. We have had, over the course of the season so far, small hints of the charge having great performances like this, but we haven't seen too many times that they've been able to close it out. My biggest question now will be, can they keep this up for the rest of the series? Because they will, as I mentioned in the pre-show here, have these kind of one-map wonders, but they severely outplayed the Philadelphia Fusion, especially on Garden. That opening 6 frags to nothing lead was immense from the charge, and they snowballed heavily off the back of that one. Both Develop and Choice One. We talked about Choice One. Develop as well in that first map on the Ash, and then coming back on the Tracer 4 map 2 as well, or round 2 I should rather say. Really good stuff. I think legitimately Develop and Choice One outplayed the MN3 Zest duo, this very lauded rookie superstar duo of MN3 and Zest did not look good in comparison to Develop and Choice One on this map so far in Lijiang Tower.
Certainly not. A lot of things to try to work on here in just a couple minutes that they have during the break. Fusion, you see the coaches immediately storming into the room and chatting things up to figure out what they need to correct moving forward into our next map, which is going to be King's Row for Hybrid. That's going to be coming up in just a few minutes. We'll see if the Guangzhou charge can continue this performance, push forward, move up to match point, or if the Fusion will be able to answer back and tie it up as they so desperately need to do. Don't go anywhere. Action is going to be continuing in just a few. And we are back, one map into the series, and it's the Guangzhou Charge who managed to draw first blood. Really great back and forth, some clutch moments coming through from them on that first round of Night Market, but Gardens was so very clean the whole way through. And as you were mentioning, MN3, Zest just couldn't quite hold a candle to develop and Choice One. They had the better of them. They ran away with the map. Now we find ourselves 1-0 up to the Guangzhou Charge with King's Row on the horizon.
I have to give some props to, I think, the hidden MVP in there as well, the unsung hero, the Charge, that has been, I think, consistently good the entire way through the season. That's Farway 1987. The amount of first picks that he got, some of the first picks I saw he got on Aim God as well, so taking down his counterpart, really impressive stuff. And I think just stuff like that will give the Charge the opening lead, give them player advantages. So as we move into map 2 here, we saw substitution there. It is going to be Fury coming in for Bellasaria as we move over towards a hybrid map. It's going to be King's Row. You'll see in a second. So opting to play more of the Sigma style kind of stuff, maybe even the Zarya. I think Krong will enjoy that as well because he gets to play sort of his best heroes. Krong versus Fury, I think it's going to be a great matchup.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's two incredibly storied tank players who have been, nominated World Stars, etc. in their own right. So we'll see who is going to be able to come out on top. But right now, Fusion, they absolutely have their work cut out for them. We'll see if that pep talk from the coach is coming through, if that's going to be enough to make the adjustments necessary for them to find victory. But as you did mention, there is another little caveat that we need to keep in mind, which is that Charge do often have that kind of one map wonder that comes through in their series where they look incredibly good and then things kind of fall apart from there. We've seen that in the past from, Develop in particular, who's looked really good on Sojourn on like a single map, and then he plays it in the next one and can't quite, land his rail shots, etc., etc. Is that going to be the case here for the Charge, or can they keep it consistent? Consistency is absolutely key.
And I still think there are weaknesses for the Charge moving forward as far as the map set goes, because it seems like Charge only want to play Krong, right? We still haven't seen Rio for a while. I don't necessarily mind that. That's a coaching choice to say, okay, we believe in Krong at the moment. He's probably our better starter on the tank position, but it does limit your options for tanks. So when we move forward to, let's say, the Escort map and is very dive heavy, Bellasaria comes back and plays the Bull or the Winston. Krong goes back to the Doom, and his Doom looked reasonable. Doesn't blow my mind. Thankfully, I think Choi and Develop were phenomenal on their particular heroes on Lijiang Tower to carry us through, and Krong staying alive for the most part and just not dying and creating space is, I think, the forte that he's been able to show. So not a flashy play, not really opening up frags, but certainly making space for his DPS to get the work done. So moving into a slower style now, as I do think as we head to King's Row, it should be more of a Sigma v Sigma, maybe Zarya v Zarya kind of matchup here. It'll be more on the shoulders of Krong to carry now that I suspect that he'll be playing something he's a lot more comfortable on.
Yeah. See how that does fare is, for now, my game free might have frozen up a little bit. Hopefully that'll fix itself in a moment. Otherwise,
so
we need a pause.
I'm going to talk about the stat line real quick. And 3-match win streak against Guangzhou. The only time that Guangzhou beaten Fusion was back in, I believe it was 2019, right? And that was the first ever game they played against each other. So these two franchises have actually not had that many opportunities to play against each other. As I mentioned, 4 games, 4 matches all time. This is number 5. And Fusion lead that record 3-1, with the last 3 going Fusion's way. And they've always been 3-0s as well.
There we go.
Except for today, except for right now. So as we wait for the game to kind of get started, gates to open as well, the one sort of silver lining here for the Fusion, if you're a little upset, you look at their first map, watch like, okay, what's going on here? Maps actually don't really matter for Fusion. They just need to have more wins in terms of series than the Chengdu Hunters. Because they're so far behind in maps, Hunters will win on map differential regardless. So Fusion don't need a clean win, they just got to win.
That they do. Now they have their work cut out for them just a bit more. The gates have opened. Inching forward here with the Hanzo. It's a recon pull through. Just making sure that he can spot MN3 right around the corner. Storm Arrow's now coming through. Won't quite be able to connect them, though. Even with that recon advantage. For now, MN3 just farming up the rail off the barrier. He's looking to try to line up the shot. Can't quite nail it. That would have been choice one out of the fight. He does get antied, but no one's able to capitalize.
Whoa,
what? Krong, I mean, what? Krong just sat up top. He's just left-clicking, and he kills Fury, then follows up for Zest. That is the contest. Absolutely done and dusted here. Aim God not going to be able to escape. Develop does not miss that rail. One tick does get established here for the side of the Fusion, but Now they have to reset and go again.
So Krong just squares up. He's like, Fury, you don't want this smoke. You're talking to the 2020 state champion here on the Sigma specifically. Damn, Krong. All right, that's what's going on. I mean, I said that Krong needed to maybe step up a little bit on his own particular performances, not just play support for his DPS. So he does just that. Opens up with 2 major frags. Fury still does a lot of damage, though. You'll notice that Fury actually still has equal ult charge despite dying. So Fusion as well, because they're playing Zest on the Genji, they need to be a little bit active here. They already have 1 tick charge, looking for the contest.
Second tick coming through for free. Now Develop is going to be gone. That's a massive opening here for the side of the Fusion. Do get slowed up a bit by that Bionade onto 2, but they answer back with one of their own. The contest is just not quite there. Finally starting to come through as they do drop down to the low ground. Krong just playing a ring around the Rosie. Wraps around the turret, manages to take down Fixa. Will end up dying though. That will be the cap coming through, so 4.5 minutes, still a respectable time bank. As far away will get cleaned up here on the back end. Fusion can now begin to push.
That's such a strange occurrence that, you know, Guangzhou Charge got off to a great start. Krong has multiple frags, Fusion have to reset, and then Fury just walks into point, caps 2 ticks. Uncontested Charge. Don't know what they're doing there. Completely uncontested. Zest then gets a frag. It's a 5v4. Charge end up contesting 4v5. Krong still gets a kill, eats a rock, and dies. But everything prior to that, the fact they gave away 2 ticks is so weird.
Yeah. A bit odd, to say the least. Ults as well, not quite equal now. Unique not having that nano so far away from it, so advantage very much in the hands of Fusion. Choice A1 going to be taking a nap. You can see Krong trying to play Protector. Will manage to get that elimination on a Fixa with the Flux, but quickly afterward, Choice A1 and Unique get traded all the same, so the Protector no more. Krong can't do anything else. Rail goes through, it's a slight little window there. Barrier projected at that kind of horizontal, or the diagonal angle rather.
Nice call.
It's not going to be good enough. The Flux will just go ahead and finish off Krong. Cleanups coming through, and Fusion are storming their way through King's Row.
Yeah, this could even be a cap because it depends on how quickly Krong can respawn and get back into action. Fury's Flux there was beautiful. I mean, some would consider it maybe overkill, but honestly, getting Krong down and forcing that stagger is everything because Charge now, as you can see, cannot contest because they are lacking the tank. If Krong survives, it's a different story. They absolutely can contest. They have the trance as well. At minimum, they force ultimate trades coming through from Fusion, and the staggers do not stop Achilles.
I mean, we have the exact same amount of time in the time bank, which means that it was a 1.5-minute push through the streets, widely uncontested. Cart not really getting stopped up or slowed down at all. Fusion just gliding their way into B. Now have so much time to work with for this final assault, and they didn't really have to expend too many ults for it. Just the overclock and that Flux, Fury of which is, you know, keeping pace and actually exceeding the ult charge of Krong once more. Blade going to be coming through. Zest diving into the back line. Finds him out before the trance there to try to save him. Unique going to be kept alive. Does manage to get the sleep dart here, but can they find the punish? They absolutely can. Far away, getting right up into his face, charges up the right click, finds that elimination. Supports, however, still heavily under fire, contained off the left side flank. MN3 sat above, looking for a target. Overclock going to be popped here by Develop, but contest doesn't have really anybody to try to target, and the contest is not there. And it is a 3-minute and 39 time bank King's Row.
Wow.
What
just
happened?
Well, it's like I said, dude, you know, Charge, they're fantastic at looking good on one map, and then beyond that, it just all goes south. I mean, I think the epitome of what I call a sprint team in a tortoise and hare race, where they sprint super quick for one map, and then they take a break and bow out of the entire thing. But it's a marathon, guys. As you know, we're playing through a full series here. You cannot be a one-map team, and I think Charge...
It's 5-map Friday!
Year, it is. It's 5-map Friday in APAC. We're supposed to be going the distance, Charge. So we're getting at least 4 out of the series. Let's be clear about it. We're getting at least 4.
Sure.
Or maybe, well, it depends. I mean, if a miracle happens, a Charge wins this and they go 3-0, then I guess we don't go for it. But, or a draw. Even the first fight, like the confusion begins at the first fight where they look great for an opening fight. They lose the point uncontested. B is a complete just wash of Fusion pushing. Charge can't do anything. They're consistently picked out. They never have 5. They can't use these ultimates because they don't want to use them while behind. Fantastic stagger kills from Fusion all the way even onto C, granting them lots of free payload push. I mean, usually when you lose B uncontested, your next goal should be to contest payload at the first corner of C almost immediately, but they couldn't do that because they lose choice A1 immediately, right? So Charge, the bleeding really does not stop. And then the Nano Blade kill through the trance, I don't know if it was before the trance or during the trance, but that can't happen either.
Yeah.
And as far as the contesting goes, I think they were relying on Krong to get there, but he's a slow Sigma player that just can't get to the point in time.
Well, Fury occupying the same space that we saw Krong using. It's kind of your default Sigma positioning here. As Krong goes for the contest here onto the high ground, tries to avoid the accretion, drop down, seismic slam gets just a little bit of damage, but Widely needs to run away, grab the health pack, waits it out. Will be able to grab that. I mean, ideally would want to exit to try to funnel some percentage over to Unique and far away, but just too risky for him to try to make his way out of there. Now, test does come through up here in the high ground hallway. Good dash through from Choice A1, finding some damage, forcing them back. Now finding some presence on the point is the charge, but just for a scant moment, they pull away.
Well, the best thing they've done in 1 minute so far is forcing a Mortality Field, which doesn't sound good, but is actually pretty reasonable. Can they convert that in the next like 20 or so seconds though? So what I mean is they now need to engage some sort of big dive. You can see Alderworth Hotel has 3 charge members, but they don't commit to anything. So by the time they actually do make an engage, the lamp will be back online. They are struggling to take any high ground. They just want to contest the point itself. So at minimum, if they can force a Fusion member down to them and try and play that guy, that could be okay, but they're not getting a lot done.
Punch there for just a moment. The Mortality Field does come through, but MN3 was able to finish off Choice A1, so that's that backline threat now taken care of. Dealt with. Krong as well, stunned up by the accretion. MN3 able to find the finishing blow, and MN3 will get another one for his troubles. Gets to help as Choice A1, he just respawned, and now he gets headshot.
It's like 4, 5 kills almost here coming on through. MN3's positioning super far forward, supported by the shield from Fury. Charge are about to get snowballed, because Fury now have, not just Fury, but Fusion have now nearly 4 ultimates online, or at least 3 ultimates, plus the Bob coming in as well. Choice A1 consistently dying out of spawn. They want to play a Nano Blade, but Choice A1's on 55 because he's died twice and 3 times in a row, whatever now. Charge, they wanted to play a dive composition for opening A, and the pacing is truly not very good at all because they can't set up any sort of fights. They force 1 cooldown but can't convert that into anything meaningful. And they just kind of hang around this hotel as we see, but they can't actually take any space. They can't do anything.
I mean, let's be real. The pacing is non-existent right now from the side of the Guangzhou Charge. They're just now starting to step onto the point for the second time. Nano will go through. Choice A1 trying to get the blade online.
Wait a minute.
Dash reset.
Wait a minute.
Suddenly comes up with 3 kills. He comes up with a 4th kill. What?
Ace?
Choice A1, he's looking for the 5th. Can he get it? Oh, no, he cannot. MN3 will end up dying to his own dynamite at the very end. He says, you cannot get the ace. I will finish myself off before I allow you to get the ace. But suddenly, in one big moment, Choice A1 goes from getting farmed 3 times in a row to killing just about every goddamn person on the team. And now the Guangzhou Charge has the cap at 3.5 minutes of the time bank.
That's the most Guangzhou Charge thing I've ever seen in my life, which is like, we're going to spend 3 minutes doing kind of nothing, and then like magically, 1 nano, it's a dry nano as well, no blade for Choi, he just kind of goes in there, like you said, gets farmed for multiple lives, and then solos the entire Philadelphia Fusion. Okay!
I don't know what's going on. I need 11 to come rescue me. I'm stuck in the upside down. Vecna's got me. I'm in his grasp. Please save me. Things are wild. I can't understand it. Aim God finally developed. Tries to go off that left side flank, I do believe. Krong trying to get the punch across, but Fury will say no. Shuts him down. Trance coming through just for good measure, and far away is out in the middle of nowhere, so does end up getting picked off. Choice A1 completely tracked by the Discord Orb is easy pickings here for Aim God. The kills come through, and that's going to be the archway control established for Fusion.
All right, we're back to normal now. Okay, you know, the timeline has been restored. We've given back the Infinity Stones to all the, previous owners. And the Guangzhou Charge, I mean, they have ults to play through. I want to see them get active here as they lose a fight. That's fine. We force ultimates out of Fusion. Now it's time to blow some ults. I think they're waiting for Nano Blade. Okay, they just lose a member. That's a little awkward.
Okay, they do. And that means especially that Krong has to use that Meteor Strike to get out rather than try to aggress. Choice A1, however, still trying to aggress.
Oh, good catch.
But then everybody's focus firing him. Yeah, great catch coming through. Fury does manage to make that a 1-for-1, and now they continue to trade up far away, trying to duke it out, trying to break through this barrier, but MN3 will just swing the corner. The Dynamite will bleed him away. And once more, the fight is going to be won, but they have to wait for these run backs. Still 2 members all the way back at the spawn, so the Fusion cannot hold this far forward.
It's amazing flux coming through from Fury, and the exact, sort of catch as well to make sure he wasn't going to get duped by any dashes. That is going to be a pretty clean, ultimately, fight win coming through from Fusion to deny the Nano Blade. The one big tool the Charge do have, but like you sort of mentioned, because there were some trays, Fusion have to back up. Give Guangzhou Charge the payload for the first time. We're also seeing Dragon Strike come online, which during these moments is actually super useful. So Dragon Strike for sure will be to make the space required to give Charge an opportunity to win a fight.
Krong trying to go around the flank, M3 watching that position. It's a tap there on a faraway. Choice A1 going to be dead as the Dragon Strike comes rolling through, and Zest will beam down, develop. Faraway dead to the bomb, knows that he cannot afford to pop the trans and try to stay alive. The fight is long since over. M3 will clean up the lion's share of the Guangzhou Charge. Once more, it is a team wipe here at the hands of the Fusion, and it's 45 seconds remaining to try to get the B.
This is kind of the story of the Charge so far on both their later A, B, and C defenses, as well as most of the attacks so far, which is like they want to set up for a play, they're ready to go for a fight, but just as they sort of go in, look to commit ultimate, somebody gets picked. So perpetually at a 4v5, and we saw that even with the Nano Blade timing as well. You know, they kind of wanted to go for it, but they lose a support player. And the Guangzhou Charge got 5 again. Dragon Strike didn't go the way they planned. They're up against a lot of Fusion ultimates. Fusion should be able to hold off the back of that.
Have to just wait and see. Charge, do you have that clutch potential like we saw in that first round of Lijiang? Felt not taking too much damage there from Zest, who will be forced back for the moment, but the duplicate is there if he needs a bailout. In fact, he's just going to go ahead and pop it. Goes to the Doom Fist, but he gets punched out of the seismic slam. Cannot find that extra damage to try to set things up. Choice one going to be traded out. MN3 dead as well. Develop falling low. The Meteor Strike coming through. Zest
Double
drop
Meteor
down
Strike.
top of far away, and oh boy, he gets him. Pops out instantly. Headshots unique for the kill. The beam there to help finish off Develop, and Krong is taking a nap just far enough away from the cart to not contest. The Fusion will be able to win. A bit of a wobbly map here at times, but they manage to get the win. They tie it up 1-1.
But it's like exactly as I expected, right? Which is to say that I expected there should be one fantastic map out of the Charge, but very hesitant to believe that they were going to be able to string that into future good performances. You know, they had that one insane 4K out of Choice of One. They had a good opening on the A defense with Krong popping off slightly. But beyond that, nothing to really show for it. Fusion, their pick potential was so much higher. It's like we're just watching the reverse, right? And I think talking about the upside down almost seems adequate because we looked at the performance of Lijiang, then you look at the performance here on King's Row, and it's the complete opposite for both teams.
Yeah, okay, well, maybe things have course corrected a little bit. It seems like the Fusion certainly have with this win, looking very consistent on King's Row. Coming up next, we're going to have Dorado for Hybrid. See if the Guangzhou Charge can once more find that spark, find that groove that we saw in Map 1, or if the Fusion will be able to move up and during this to match point. Don't go anywhere, guys. The action's going to continue in just a few minutes. And we are back, and the series is now tied up 1-1. A wonderful Kings Row map there from the side of the Fusion. Great performance to get the win. Some craziness at times, but widely they get the defense there in front of point B, and had a wonderful push to kick things off. Now we turn our sights over to Dorado for our escort map to see who is going to be moving forward to match point.
Fun fact for Kings Row is that MN3 got as many final blows as the entirety of the Guangzhou charge, which is 15, so there it is. Also, obviously, MN3 was the kill leader there for that particular map, so didn't have a great Lijiang Tower, came back in astounding ways on Kings Row, including a frag on himself, remember, self-kill on the Dynamite. So,
True.
you know, keep the frags coming
It
up,
counts.
even the self ones, I'm going to count them. But no, it's 15 minus the suicide there. But for the Guangzhou charge, I mean, part of me isn't surprised, part of me is still a little bit disappointed because I wanted to see the Lijiang performance again coming through the next map. But yeah, they decide to get rid of the Sigma strategy for the attack as well, when I felt like, you know, that's one of Krong's best heroes. In fact, it is just his best hero, right?
It is his best hero.
And I think, like, you know, that should be something you can make work for the entire offense, the same way that Fusion with Fury on Sigma worked. But speaking of Fury, he'll be subbed out for Bellasria going to Dorado, and as I sort of mentioned, right, we do have maps that are very dive favored. This one being a prime example. We've seen what Smurf and Prophet on the Seoul Dynasty do on a map like this. Charge are going to be playing Krong the entire way through, so Krong's options now are limited. He can't really play too many dive heroes outside of just the Doomfist because the Diva is just not going to work for you, so it's got to be the Doom. And I think his Doom, again, has just been okay. Certainly not Krong Sigma level.
Yeah, certainly not. We'll see what they have pieced together. Maybe he's been practicing some of those other picks in the meantime.
Krong
And they're
Winston.
feeling confident about it.
Oh.
Oh, you know. Ooh. Maybe it's all they needed. It's the secret weapon. Well, we'll just have to wait and see, though.
Krongston?
As we do hop into the map. Krongston checks in.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think if he was going to play it, he'd already have played it. And they opted for the Doom instead. So we'll see what happens. To be fair, Krong can play the Sigma on A. It's just about, like, you know, that hero kind of just scales poorly into the rest of the points on the map. So usually ends up being avoided. Guangzhou charge, opening composition, Doomfist defense. Develop choice of one as well. I actually think Sigma's good on the defense here because even when you defend B, you have the option of starting on high grounds. There's always that option for a Sigma defense, and then you can sort of transfer that onto a C. I think attacking Sigma's not good, but defending Sigma's okay. Choi, though, not Choi, Krong, though, definitely wants to stick towards the Doomfist instead as the dive option, as mentioned. So, should be a pretty good matchup for the Fusion. Even though you'll look at this and say, isn't this the same matchup on Lijiang? It is, but completely different map circumstances.
All right. Maybe just some minor scouting here off the start. Dynamite over the top finds Krong. Little Doomhead just sat there. He's going to go for
Develop's
some
already
jump shots. Okay.
So AimGod got 16, 20% ult charge there. He nearly killed MN3 right off the rip. And that would have been the entire defense in shambles almost immediately. Krong playing very patiently, as we saw, just kind of keeping his head tucked in, looking for an opportunity to contest and dive. Seems like they're playing more defensively in terms of stopping Bellasria, so they want to catch this ball.
Trying to. Zest forcing Choice A1 back over to the Mega Pack. He'll be able to grab that. But now the Tracers
Payload.
widely close together. Payload going to be halted here as Choice A1 contests it just before it starts making its way through the underpass. Swing around Belfry saying hello. Krong's giving him a quick little punch that's going to force him back, but now Krong under fire, raises his fists. Dynamite flies as well. Look to displace him, and they cannot, but they do find that kill moments ago to Choice A1. Zest can move forward. Looks to farm up the Pulse Bomb, which he will be getting online here in just a moment. Taking down Krong would be a nice target to find. Far away, though. Nice headshot, gets the elimination, takes out Fix-Up. Pulse Bomb not going to connect him in 3, however. If the alley-oop does manage to find Unique. Aim God finding one, but Faraway finds another. Or Aim God rather was dead, is what I meant to say. Faraway does end up falling, but the cart for now still going to be halted.
Faraway showing some heroics there as well, winning a very clutch 1v1 against MN3. He gets killed himself, but the trade is worth it, right? You speak about payload, it's barely been halted, to be honest with you. It's really when Philadelphia go for fights and they want all 5 to be present. Philly have been pretty much pushing payload 90% of the time unimpeded. Charge have struggled to sort of find a position on the map to actually defend and try to contest. They are very interested in chasing down Bellasria's ball, trying to chase down Zest as well. And while that's kind of happening, Fusion keep pushing in.
Okay, Choice taking down Zest with a great kill. That's right as the Pulse Bomb became available for Choice as well. Bellasria going to be taking a nap for the time being. Transcendence used by Faraway. Keeping everybody alive. Overclock rolling. Develop goes aggressive. Receives an nano. The trance coming through. He needs to hit a headshot, and he just cannot. Otherwise, no way to get eliminations through all that Zen healing. MN3 coming up with a few. Gets a kind of fadeaway shot onto Unique at the very end. The cap will be there for the Fusion. Just shy of 4 minutes now in the time bank.
And this is kind of why you see a reasonable amount of Ashe gameplay coming out from both these teams, but from a lot of teams in APAC as well. I think they value the consistency that the Ashe brings. Some of the AO damage from the Dynamite as well. This is also traditionally a very good Ashe map. Dorado I'm talking about. But in terms of macro and pacing there, Fusion stayed very on top of the objective. They slowly pushed through. Archway would have been the ideal place for Guangzhou to set up some sort of defense. Never really happened. It's been 1-for-1 trade.
Kind of want to see that replay because Develop, that had to be a nasty shot. Close range flick over to get that headshot through, but let's get traded, and it's a trade up at the side of the Guangzhou Charge, finding 2 for the 1. So for now, things going to be slowed down as Choice A1. Dodging
look at
around
the payload
front there.
Look how long it's gone uncontested for. The payload even being where it is currently, outside the courthouse, is, I mean, that's an incredible amount of distance just to get unimpeded, and Charge have really failed to kind of find areas to properly contest at all in this time map.
Develop on the high ground, finding him at 3. Dynamite down, looks for Aim God. Pushes him out into the open. Beautifully played. Now he's looking for Fixa, and he gets him in the head. Wonderful chain of events there from Develop. Some nasty shots, and helps finish off Zest as well. And as you mentioned, Cart did get a good amount of free distance right up in front of... is it a courtroom or is it a church? I can't really tell. Either way, but it's going to be resting there because they cannot move it forward.
Maybe they double up in Dorado, you know? It's a bit of a 2-for-1. You can use both in there. I don't know.
On Sundays, you know, repurpose it.
Saturday Courthouse, Sunday Church. All right, but you do see that Develop now going over towards the Ashe, starting to pick up some steam. And that's something that Sojin can't do, right? Just sit on that high ground, scoped in, nailing these targets, headshots, just completely unimpeded damage coming from up high. Sojin has to kind of charge up these shots quite a lot.
He's doing it again.
Happens again.
Or he's trying to. Pushes them out into the open.
Dude.
Oh, gets Zest. In bank. Finds Fixa midair. Develop. What a chain of events once more for him. Utterly impeccable shooting.
Yeah, this is the sort of situation where he sees him in 3 on the Ashe. He's like, well, he's kind of performing well. Ashe is also one of my base heroes. M3 is giving me permission to play the Ashe because, you know, we're going to make this honorable Ashe duel happen. None of us will play the Sojin today. And now the Charge looking like they're back on top with, you know, a number of frags, enough frags to come through that no ultimates have to be expended. So, about 5 ultimates. Just knocked the bomb off. That was good.
Yeah, they finally get him. The Bob goes through. Bellasria comes crashing in. They finally manage to take down Develop. Buying a little bit of time and some space now for this cart to start advancing forward, but Faraway in the meantime. Off on a flank, you would assume Zest was trying to get the pick up, but Faraway says no, shuts him down. Pushes down here from bank. Cart going to be grabbed up once more here by the side of the Charge, so not advancing. Final corner still needing to be rounded. It's 45 seconds about to be in the time bank.
But they got distance, so now we're in the final courtyard, right? I mean, we're not even fighting around courthouse area in the sort of streets phase. Bob coming through now, and it's actually to defend the high ground. They're not actually using on the payload, which is moving again.
The Bob does get slapped. Krong taken down. MN3, the rare Ash Nano going through. And Develop, I don't think he was aware that MN3 was right next to him because he did not pay any attention whatsoever to the shots that were flying right into his hip. One dropping down, looking at the contest. Nano goes forward onto him, takes a hell of a lot of damage, still holds onto the pulse. Bomb trance comes through, the ante is out. They find that elimination. Far away, now popping the Transcendence, trying to buy some time for the rest of the team to rejoin. Unique still playing within the courthouse, as you say. Does snipe MN3 as he tries to drop down to the low ground. Now move into overtime, but the tick comes through as they clear out the last two members. A minute and a half to try to finish the map. It's going to be a bit challenging, you would suspect it. Charge, though, they do continue to go on the offensive, go diving through, find Aim God.
Yeah.
Buys them a bit of time.
And, these frags are even, right? I mean, stat-wise, that's true as well. Both teams are even on 17 final blows and 17 final blows per side. But objectives, Fusion have under control, and Charge have realistically never had under control. They keep dragging fights away from payload. They keep allowing Fusion to get free payload distance. So every single fight, whether Fusion win or lose, they're inching payload distance slight, which is why we saw in the final fight, when the Fusion finally got enough frags to just go for a good push, the payload was actually already the end. They Nano Choi, who doesn't have a recall, he can't do too much, has to just manage his blinks, and now we're already on C. The time isn't great remaining for the Fusion, but they continue pushing forward.
Yeah, the amount of distance they've been able to grab right here off this initial volley. It's looking fantastic. Choice they want looking for the stick, not going to be able to find anything. It's going to be a 1-for-1 at the front line, goes down for the side of the Charge, and they lose Zest on the Fusion. Bob sat here, now going to be woken up, and MN3 sends Unique right into his welcoming arms. The kill comes through, but Choice A1 does manage to pursue deep enough to get the elimination here onto the enemy Ash. Bellisria kind of whiffing on his swings a bit, needs some TLC, which he will be able to receive, but now down to 8 seconds. He's trying to get the health pack, manages to snatch it away, stays alive, but somebody's got to get over to the cart here in the next few seconds. Can they make the touch happen? They cannot. Bellisria being rerouted far too many times, no one could get there.
You saw him trying to get some sort of height to go for a slam onto Develop, but he kind of either failed the grapple or failed the tech and just couldn't find the right amount of height. Failed to get the slam down, ends up exiting, goes for a health pack, and thankfully he does manage to grab the Mega because Choi Se-hwan, despite being, he was guarding the health pack, he didn't have the health, he didn't lose any health, so he couldn't just steal the health pack, which means, well, Bellisria rolls through and grabs it. Fusion, I think despite not finishing the map here, for how even the game is, usually when games are this even, we're not expecting massive amounts of distance here because if the defense are winning 50% of the fights, that's actually major in the back end of the defense for the benefit of the defense here. It's just the fact that Fusion, even while losing, even while losing, I still managed to get distance, and Charge can't quite contest any of that distance. And B, I think, was especially egregious. A as well wasn't particularly pretty to look at. And B was only as good as it was because Develop switched over towards the Ash and started to get major frags. But as you'll have noticed, I said, despite Develop getting those frags, Payload still inched forward.
Well, a win condition set up here for the side of the Charge. If they can have a strong push, Develop looking to start at least with the Widowmaker. We'll see if he sticks with it. Or decides to flip back to the Ash, which was looking impeccable for him on that B defense.
I think you can make a reasonable amount of distance on the Widow as well. I mean, if you actually just want to stay on the Widow, he decides to. Thought about swapping off. Tries to fool the Fusion, just thinking that he'll swap off as well. Goes for one extra shot, and now should be the Ash coming on through. As this worked out beautifully for him. Far away going to be the first target, though.
Bellisria following shortly thereafter. Obviously can rejoin rather rapidly, and there's a good amount of distance that the Fusion can afford to give up. As long as you can recontest by the time it gets into the underpass, you're not going to be too worse for wear. Which they ought to be able to do.
Is around the corner as well, so thankfully Zenyatta doesn't have to go too far. If that was a defensive Zenyatta, this would be disastrous.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
In terms of dying, that is. Halo now moving into the archway itself, still looking for ultimates, not quite bound. Both the Traces will probably get them first, and you see that Zest is spending a lot of time just keeping Choice 1 under control to make sure that Charge aren't sneaking any inches.
Wrong, under so much fire, continues to fall lower and lower, but they haven't been able to get that elimination, and Choice A1 takes down MN3. Costly Develop with another great headshot. It's the DPS shut down on the side of the Fusion. Supports the tank now trying to hold the cart, but as Fixa pushes forward, he will end up dying. Aim God is now gone, and that should be the cap coming through here for the side of the Charge. Far away going low, but manages to survive. concerted effort on the side of the charge, comes up with the kill, and the push is coming through, and this is going to be a fantastic time bank for them.
Yeah, Ballasry is too far away to contest, right, so we're not really going to see much from the Fusion side of things. If Ballasry was alive, or MN3 is a Bob, they would contest. Instead, Fusion will now set up for high ground on B. As the first round of ultimates from both teams will now start to come through on this B attack and defense. So for the charge, really well done that they managed to cap A with a decent time and also B without having to really expend resources, as you want to be using ultimates on the future points and not A if you can.
Pulls from Zest, not finding any value. It's going to be whiffed out there. Juan still holding on to one of his own, but Develop opens things up once more. Game got taken out, looks for the high ground contest. The Bob goes charging in. They try to whip shot him off, but will manage to land here all the same. Picks up, trying to drop down, raises the shield at the perfect moment to avoid getting headshot, but oh man! Develop with yet another fantastic reaction.
Dude, this is like a renaissance for Develop. I mean, throughout the entire season, he's looked okay, had some reasonable moments, had some good Widowmaker moments for sure. Sojin's been sort of 50-50, right? But this Ashe today is unreal. He has full high ground control now. The Bob being on the high ground as well, so massive. I mean, he could easily get another pick here. Deletes the mines.
Try to greet Bellisria on the drop down, but he falls into the mine. Far away as well, eliminated Bellisria. Doing some solid work here. The sleep comes through, but Unique is left out to dry. Quick kill for MN3, and the cleanup is there. An extended team kill for the side of the Fusion, who are finally finding some stability, but there's still 3 minutes and 20 seconds in the time bank. The card is getting ready to round the final corner. They have their work cut out for them. Charge with 4 ults.
The problem is Charge lost all the ground rights. They're going to have to spend ultimates just to take the high ground back. Attacking team controlling that specific high ground going to the final courtyard is unbelievably strong. So Bellisria winning that fight for the Fusion is going to allow the Fusion to bounce back now, especially as Fusion also come up to their own ultimates. Develop would have to hit some nasty shots to get some picks to enable this again. That or, you know, between Choi and Krong, they need to get up there.
Well, there's one of the 4 gone. Pulse Bomb from Choi Se-Wan, just making him scatter a little bit, but doesn't find the elimination. Krong jumping away. Pulse Bomb was out onto him, manages to escape with the Meteor Strike. Nullifying that damage and ult. Reaction from him, keeps himself alive and defiant as Bellisria just continues to contest. Jump forward, sides with Slam, only connecting on the Fixa, not going to be offering up too much green HP, and now, yeah, the trance does come through from far away, just to try to keep Krong in the fight. Continues to get hammered down, though, lower and lower, as Zest pursues forward. The Bob is there to zone them back. Choi Se-Wan now going to be picked off. MN3 finding the elimination. Wraparound goes through from the bank, but Develop was left all by his lonesome, disconnected from the rest of the team. He ends up getting burnt.
And here's my problem with the Guangzhou Charge attack so far is, you know, when they don't have that high ground control, and we'll see what happens inside this bank area as well, is a lot of Charge members here, but I think both teams will handshake it, and Fusion will allow the Charge to back out and reset. But what I was going to say is, beyond Develop just getting a number of frags from low ground and high ground, Charge struggle to do anything to contest this high ground because they don't have a ball to just drop down mines. Krong has to play with a lot of trepidation because he knows he can just get blown up, and there's still 2 squad ultimates online for the Fusion.
Risky recall there from Zest, puts himself right back in front of the spawn. You can see Charge not going to concern themselves too much with it. Develop going to be on the hunt, going to be on the watch. Going to make sure that that backline flank doesn't come to fruition, but the front line is the issue. Krong dives in, and Bellisria finds the kill. Pile drives Develop into oblivion. Far away under fire as MN3 gets a nice little headshot there. Follow-up shot off the reload onto Unique. He's just putting one shell in the gun, firing, and just continuing it, and it's working.
It's going to be 5 ultimates. This is why I wasn't that concerned for Fusion when, you know, Charge had like 4 ultimates and they lost the fight and came back, because I knew that area control for this point is absolutely everything, and Charge have really floundered in taking that. What almost needs to happen here is you either got to nano Krong to allow him to be able to take that high ground, or just send Krong to his death, accept that he'll die, but nano Choi and allow him to get all the kills instead. Develop almost has to put another Bob on the high ground now to do anything.
Well, another minefield once more going to be invested, and once more Bellisria finds 2 kills. The support's taken down. Krong dead. 30 seconds left. This is the final fight here for the side of the Guangzhou Charge. They need to win this out, maybe even a follow-up.
Develop's dead.
Staggers are devastating. Choi Se-Wan needs to escape. You can see MN3 just waiting to see if this Genji is going to continue advancing forward.
He's gone. Yeah, this is going to have to be a nano blade or a nano attempt of some kind. Palo's now sliding backwards as well. Develop's gone over towards the Widowmaker. I actually think that's reasonably smart. That will do a better job of contesting than the Ashe so far. Bob's already been expended. No idea where Develop's Bob went, but couldn't have been anywhere useful. Charge now. It was looking good until Bellastria got the double mine kills, and now it's looking like Fusion will hold.
Okay. So they do manage to force out the OT. Bellastria once more causing havoc in the back line. The rally now rolling from Fix. That Blade going to be pulled. Choice A1 already getting tagged low. Has the cheat around the corner. Dives in. He's looking for the elimination, but Fix it gets on top of him. They find the kill. Everything, all of their eggs in the one basket. The basket has fallen to the ground. The eggs shattered. The Guangzhou Charge will be zoned off the cart long enough for the OT to bleed away, and the Philly Fusion, while they didn't finish the map, they will be able to complete the defense here in front of point B, and now they move up 2-1 in the series. Match point is theirs.
It's the kind of situation for the Charge where I feel like multiple points now, maybe not in Lijiang, which is why it was such an outlier, but, you know, Charge requires such grandiose individual pop-ups to make their plays happen, that when those things don't happen, they don't seem to be able to get a grasp of how to turn the map into their favor, how to turn the game into their favor. And you see these just kind of, I don't know, pedestrian attempts to like, well, Krong, just jump up there and see what happens. He does, gets instantly melted, and that's kind of just what happens because this team can't really set up dives. Unless the Guangzhou Charge have somebody like Choi Se-hwan to develop go absolute sicko mode, which they have been at various points, this team isn't able to get a lot done. So it went well until it didn't. They had full high ground control in the attack, which is brilliant. Bellastria gets 2 mine kills, and the entire map is over from there.
Yeah. Well, fantastic here from the side of the Philly Fusion. Looking stronger, looking like they just needed a wake-up call after Lijiang Tower, and the alarms certainly sounded. Then we'll move forward into what could be the final map of the set. It's New Queen Street to see if the Guangzhou Charge can extend this to 5 maps. It's 5 Map Friday after all, so I'm all for it. We'll see what happens, though, when we come back. Match point locked in here for the Fusion after their win on Dorado. Now New Queen Street is all that is standing between them and a win. A much needed win if they want to make it into the Mid-Season Madness tournament. Well, Guangzhou Charge showing some signs of life there on Dorado, which were widely absent on King's Row. Great shots coming from Develop in particular, but now they need to buckle down, win New Queen Street, and extend this into a 5th map.
Yeah, Charge feel like the kind of team that is almost there, right? The talent seems to be able to pull some weight, but overall, you know, a few too many mistakes allow the game to slip away from them in various ways. So slightly better defense, slightly better offense, and I think it becomes a much more even Dorado game. The fact that it looks as even as it is via final blows and frags says a lot about the quality of what some of the players can individually do, but as a team it's not quite gelling as well as the Fusion have been able to do. So we saw after Legion Tower, a bit of a pep talk from the coaches, seems to have done the work there, as 2 maps in a row now Fusion have looked to be mostly outclassing the Charge. I mean, individually, like I said, some members of the Charge is definitely, you know, keeping up, if not overtaking, but for the Fusion, as a cohesive whole unit, they're definitely playing much cleaner Overwatch than the Guangzhou Charge, especially when it comes to their priority on objectives and their understanding of how to play for space and take control of space on the map.
Let's see what happens. Ash likely here for Develop and MN3 once more. If they don't go for the Sojin, but you know.
I don't think
we'll see what happens.
I don't think New Queen Street is good for Ash at all. I think both players will go towards Sojin here. It's a very fast map.
We've seen a decent amount of it, have we not? Am I crazy?
Well,
maybe I'm crazy.
We've seen some, but I still just don't think it's a good hero for this map. I think it's too slow. The players might still go to it as a comfort pick. I think for Develop, right, you might be thinking, maybe I should just play the Ash anyway, even though Sojin is on paper a better pick here. I've been performing better on the Ash today, so he's going to go for it. MN3 is going to make that decision, but I think the choice for Philadelphia Fusion is they will play the Sojin anyway. And something that we haven't really talked about is the fact that this is Zest's 2nd time on the Sojin today. So this one hero has been kind of hot potatoed by 3 different DPS players now. We saw in the opening week, Carpe playing a lot of the Sojin, and then MN3 mostly taking the mantle. Zest today played a decent amount as well. But as we head into game proper now, the actual game of the New Queen Street, we have 1 Sojin out on the field, 2 Traces. MN3 is going to be the one staying on the Ash.
See how Develop looks. He said he's certainly had his moments with the Sojourn, his time in the limelight. Can this map be another one of those occurrences? Or does he end up just wanting to, you know, match at the end of it all? We'll have to just wait and see. For now, Fusion sitting quite far back. Bot going to be unlocked. Bellisria. That means that it's time to go. He was rolling forward. Develop instantly taken down. A great headshot there from MN3. Finds the opening kill, but Bellisria does get traded in the end. With Punish. Sprong now falling lower and lower. Orb of Harmony and Discord both sat on top of the Doom Fist, but he will be able to survive. A little bit of distance now there for the side of the Guangzhou Charge as we wait for the initial skirmish to end and see who will be taking the lead.
You need to have Guangzhou Charge put a lot more pressure onto MN3, right, to make the Sojin versus Ash difference sort of profound. You need to have your divers actually get on top of this Ash and punish her for the sort of lack of mobility compared to the Sojin. There is some mobility, obviously, with the Coach Gun, but you really value the power side coming through from Sojin here. Initial pick onto Bellisria from the Charge will get them some distance, but it's instantly traded back with Krong dying.
Yeah, a good call there. You can tell Fusion just making the call like, no, we can go through this. Go ahead and get an elimination, dive into the back once more. Bellisria
as well.
This time finding Develop, and yeah, the staggers will be there as the supports have nowhere to go. So now some distance can be accrued here for the side of the Fusion, who will be taking the lead rather quickly as the Charge were only able to establish just over 12 meters.
Yeah, it's a full team wipe there coming through, so Charge now, team wipe plus staggered deaths, full reset. Bellisria even going on a bit of a hunting mission as well. Some early scouting. You can see that for the Fusion, they're just kind of allowing Zest to solo push the payload here. Reminder that on push, pushing speed is maxed out at 1 place. You don't need more than 1 person pushing. Bob comes through, by the way.
The pulse bomb was there, but unnecessary in the end. Zest with the pulse pistols just able to finish off Unique before the explosion can even go off. Gets far away to boot, so both supports and the front line now broken down. It's just Develop a choice they want left as he will just go off the side of the map. No
stolen
recourse there. And yeah, it was taken away, which is kind of comical given the Fusion were the ones who kind of, you know, started a great escape, you know, stealing the block away. But
other teams are employing that strategy against the Fusion now, and it works. I wonder, because Fusion, despite winning the fight, get no distance in charge of regroup now. So all it takes is someone to whisk away the robot, and suddenly we've reset. No cap. Had the payload not have been stolen away, I guarantee Fusion would have capped anyway. And it is going to be a contest.
Got finding one, but from beyond the grave, Choice A1 will get that elimination. Trance now rolling far away, just trying to keep Krong alive as he takes his nap. That was also the Nano expended and shut down by Fixa with that single sleep dart. Bot now has advanced forward, enough space was bought, and the cap is there. Fusion will just go ahead, move away. They say, yep, our job here is done. The bot's got to take his break. We'll wait this out, and then we go again.
I mean, that's really upsetting for the Charge, because they could have easily prevented that. They have players alive, Krong was there as well. And the fact that the cap comes through is now, the next time Fusion come up, they don't have to sort of wait for this payload to take their break on the actual cap itself. And Guangzhou Charge steadily lose members as they move they push the robot off the cap itself, and it doesn't take long for Fusion to win a fight and instantly get the robot back into position to now threaten beyond 60 into the 70 meters range.
I mean, Krong survived. Belster is the last one to die, but it's the Fusion who once more are the ones that just continue to push forward. They gain a little bit of extra distance. They maintain the forward spawns. Continuing to inch this up. Guangzhou Charge just struggling to find an opportunity to really occupy this bot. Zest dives in the back line with the help of the anti there from Fixa, finds the elimination on to develop. The cleanup continues to come through as Choice A1 down to a sliver of HP. Should just be a matter of time, and there you go. Belseria chases forward, crashes into him, finds that elimination, just completely flattening him.
It's a very one-sided game so far. Even stats would kind of say that as well. We have quadruple the amount of final blows from Fusion, 4 to 17, right? So Charge are getting 25% of the kills that Fusion have had so far. The one good thing they've done is steal the payload away, but that's kind of just preventing you from making you lose a little bit slower. You see Charge step it up and use that railgun. Certainly with the overclock, this fight would be nice.
Belseria slept, but they cannot get the punish, so he's right back into the fight here in a moment. Develop, just trying to cheat around the corner, but he just can't do it. Shots come flying his way from M3, from Aim God. Now pops the Trance and just escorts them forward as they are just absolutely enveloping the Guangzhou Charge. Choice A1, cool. You got to kill with the pulse bomb, or with the pulse bomb. Neat. Zest just shuts them down. The bot is pushing, and we could be looking at a completion here, Avril.
Yeah, we could be. I don't think Fusion don't even need to. If they want to, they could potentially go for it. This will be pretty limited though, because Aim God, you can see on the map, he's coming from pretty far away. M3 still in this one though. He's been nanoed in fact, just popping heads.
Krong trying to stay alive. Nano goes out to him to keep him in the fight. Belseria will finally be punished, as is Zest. So now finally in control with the decent amount of space that they can occupy. Charge will start moving this bot forward. Looks like Fixa will be able to get out. No one able to pursue deep enough or quickly enough to really get on top of that Ana.
I tell you right now, okay, MN3 still popping off, but it's a combination of both MN3 and Zest. This is a far cry from what we saw on Lijiang Tower, where it felt like both MN3 and Zest were kind of barely there. Zest in particular has been dominant on this map, shutting down Develop in particular. For the fans wondering, like, well, shouldn't have Develop just played Ash from the beginning? I don't think it would have made a difference. Zest would have farmed them either way.
Belseria just looking to keep the bot on this side of the map as much as possible. Did drop in the minefield. Doesn't find too much, but I mean, Zest just continues to exist in front of their spawn. It's like, this is fine. I'll just continue to poke and prod from behind. You guys have an immense amount of distance to try to make up. It's 100 meters for them to tie it.
In comparison, Choice A1, who usually does have a pretty good trace, has been looking pretty invisible. I mean, so is the rest of the Guangzhou Charge. I don't really want to single any particular member out from the Charge. It's kind of a combination of all of them at this stage. A mountain to climb, as 112 is just, it's more than a win condition for Fusion. It's all but said and done now. 3 minutes and a half of kind of watching Charge stay, trying to keep their heads above water for the most part, see what they can do. Some ultimates are coming online, so can they get a fight going, especially with Belseria low.
Okay, good opening kill, Develop. Finding his footing a little bit more here as MN3 will go down. Exit from Zest with a recall. Wraps back around this flank. Choice A1. Pulse bombs have been finding value, but it's been in the back of the fight, so they haven't really been able to play off of it. If you can find an opening kill here with it, this time around, could be massive here for the side of the Charge. Zest, however,
there it is, like I said.
So, try to set the stage. As soon as I do, the rug gets pulled out from beneath. Pulse bomb in. Zest not going to be able to get a kill there. Still is just keeping the supports contained there on the high ground. Krong playing up into the front, gets the nano, manages to find a single kill, looks for a little bit more, MN3 under some fire. One more right click would finish him, but Choice A1 is there for the alley-oop. It's the elimination at the end of the day. Bot, however, has been stolen out from under them. They were chasing so far forward that the rest of the Fusion say, oh, we'll just take this. You don't need this.
And that hurts Charge more than you know, because they're already so far behind the Charge that is. The fact that Krong has to be the one to go back even just hurts. Zest is still here being a menace. Zest has been absolutely pounding on this map so far in a 1v1 against Develop, and I'm pretty sure Zest will just win. There it is. So as I mentioned, right, it really doesn't matter whether Develop plays the Ashe or the Sojourn. Zest has got his number no matter what.
I mean, they popped the trance just to get over to Krong, but now the ante comes out. The trance is there from the side of Aim God to keep himself alive. Krong actually does manage to stick to the fight and finds Fixa. Now far away is dead. 1-for-1 on that front, the dynamite through. Krong pops the bubble, tries to keep himself safe, but MN3 will just dome in the back of the skull. Great little shot from him as he continues to look for a little bit more. Can't quite get choice A1, but with a minute and 37 seconds remaining, Fusion are once more shipping this bot back over towards Guangzhou's spawn.
And you'll notice a lot of Fusion don't have to go for the cap, right? They just keep shoving the payload back into the Guangzhou territory, then playing defense, and they can play defense for the rest of the game. In fact, they have been playing defense for about 5 minutes now in a row. Charge have to continuously push up like a human wave, crashing against the tides, crashing against the beach of the Fusion rather, holding onto all their ultimates. And Fusion's ability with their dive, the combination between Zest and Balashria, this Tracer ball combo, is so deadly compared to what Guangzhou can do, which is very little in terms of choice one, just trying to go in by himself. No real dive combination coming through.
Ooh. 2 HP, MN3 just hugging against the side of that bus, stays alive. The stick comes through. Develop taken down, some damage out onto Krong as well.
No chance.
Bob will finish Bob, as it's about the one victory that the Charge can get for themselves here. Here comes Balashria once more into the back line, far away, chipped away at. The pile driver finds the elimination. Unique trying to stay alive. Oh,
that's just sad.
I mean,
wow.
It's just, he fully stops firing, gives him a wave. Was doing, you know, thigh work earlier on.
He knows he's got him. He knows he's better. You know, he's playing with his food there. And, I mean, even this, the fact that, by the way, Fusion are managing to get even more distance despite not even having to go for it, this is a risk they don't need to take, but they're taking it anyway because they know they're probably just going to win regardless.
MN3 burning down from the dynamite. Nade goes through, bumps up that healing onto him because they want recalling out. Into overtime we go. 119 meters set up here for the side of the Fusion. It looks like they will go ahead, take a step away. They say, yeah, we don't need to fight for the finish. Let's just reset, gather up, get ready to strike, take them off the bot, put an end to this series. Zest here on the flank. Krong spotting him.
Spotted.
Sends a right click over his way. Zest just waiting this out. He's ticking up naturally. Pulse bomb now at the ready. Dashes around the back, throws it in, lands on the vending machine, doesn't find an elimination. However, the HP bars on the side of the Charge are not looking good. Krong continuing to be under fire. Now will go down, and that is all they needed. Far away. Just a split second too late to arrive to contest. OT bleeds out, and Fusion will be able to take the series 3-1.
And don't be concerned about the fact that the touch wasn't there. Wouldn't have made a difference. Charge had that one lost. Fusion still had a Transcendence ready to go. Far away, forced to pop early. Aim God would have popped later. Fusion win it through sheer heal difference there. MN3 hits the Bob, it's over. So, yeah, no shot for Charge there, whether they touch or not. Really, Charge could have just, just, you know, held their hands to their faces and cried and spawned. Exact same result there. This is part of the, I don't know, part of my criticism of push is that, you know, once you have Fusion pushing to 110 meters, the rest of the game is basically decided. It is what it is. Charge, very distinctly, as I mentioned right away at the start, before the first map, during the first map, after the first map, they're a one-map team. They shine, they look amazing for one map, the rest of the series becomes a wash.
And I think that, you know, hands on head, just crying into it, I think it would have been just as effective because clearly the Fusion were not showing any mercy. So I don't think the tears that would have been shed would have drawn out any sympathy whatsoever from the Fusion members. They would have just continued to wave in their faces and do some squats on their corpses at the very end. But yeah, our player of the match, let's go ahead and ship straight into that one because while things were a little bit rough for both of the DPS duos on the side, duo on the side of the Fusion, they both found their footing, but MN3 especially did. Incredible performance from him the whole way throughout. You know, Lijiang Tower notwithstanding, but him with the Ashe, even when Develop was popping off, he was able to kind of go toe-to-toe with him.
If I could give a player of the match to a player on just one map only, it'd probably be Zest on New Queen Street. But when we talk about a performance over the course of the entire series, it has to be MN3 for me as well. I think it ended up being 40-something final blows. It was over 40 final blows across 4 maps combined for MN3, who mostly just played the Ashe the entire way through. There are a few moments there where Develop also looked very good in the Ashe, but MN3 was just so much better supported by his team, especially on, I think, the new Queen Street map as well, where, you know, I say that Zest was absolutely pounding on New Queen Street. MN3 was only 3 final blows behind Zest, 10 to 13 respectively. And actually, you know, as far as damage goes, definitely out-damaging Zest, but you can imagine that an Ashe with the Dynamite, with full range control, not getting dived at all, is going to have that kind of performance. So, yeah, 43 final blows over 4 maps, so, I mean, very, very consistent performance throughout the entire day, and I think, you know, Lijiang Tower was a bit of an anomaly for both MN3 and Zest faltering, but the rest of the maps was MN3 and Zest kind of coming back online as you would expect.
Yeah. I think Bellisria as well having a bit of a rough start, not really being able to pilot around, you know, Krong's Doom too well, was getting punished pretty regularly on that initial map of Lijiang Tower. Came back in and then immediately started to pop after the victory on King's Row. So it was a much better, more refreshed look for him. But there you go. That's the series done. Fusion now move forward. They get that win locked in and, you know, one step closer to being a part of the Midseason Madness tournament, but the road is not over yet. And the series, while it might be done, we're not done talking about it. We're going to have our little game break coming up in just a few, so Avril and I will return in a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
All right, we're back, and it's time for our game break to chat a little bit more about that first series, as well as the upcoming one between the Chengdu Hunters and the Shanghai Dragons. If you missed it, well, you know, you didn't miss too much, I don't think, honestly. Fusion not quite getting the 3-0 that they were looking for, the record that they had the last time they faced off against the Guangzhou Charge. Guangzhou looked incredibly great out the gate. They started clutching things in that first map of Night Market, but it just kind of slipped through their fingers, and it seemed like keyboards maybe got disconnected, mice weren't working properly by the time we got to King's Row.
I think it's more like there's a lot of team cohesion issues that I'm kind of noticing here in terms of decision-making on every map outside of Lijiang. I thought their decision-making and play on Lijiang was pretty tight. The Fire Gambit was actually pretty nice as well because it's quite rare. Most teams don't run it. You're not expecting any team to run it. You kind of forget that Choi even has a Fire in there, so he pulls it out. Fusion haven't seen this. They don't know how to deal with it at the time, and then they start to figure it out, but then Choi just moves towards Echo anyway, and Charge in the lead by far at that stage. So the best example of Charge macro was on Lijiang Gardens, but everywhere else it was faltering, and we saw across King's Row as well, multiple points where they wanted to start a fight but couldn't start a fight because they were always one member behind. The pick potential from the Philadelphia Fusion was just that much higher. Go to Dorado. Okay, Develop's playing something he's more comfortable on, like the Ashe. Especially on defense, the high ground control was immense. Charge had a little bit of high ground control coming in to be on their attack as well, which is good, and that's usually difficult to get off the back of Developer getting frags. But once that was gone, you could see they just had no idea how to play for control of any space properly anymore. They had ultimates, but weren't too sure how to apply some of that. No real setups for dives. Felt bad for Krong, honestly, because it was just rough watching him leap up and instantly get fragged. Some people might say, oh, Krong's not very good at Doomfist, but you have to understand that Doomfist just struggles in that situation no matter what anyway. Most teams would rather play Winston here for a big reason, because you jump up, pop down a bubble, you can take nanos and do a lot with it. Primal will keep you alive. Doom just kind of goes and dies. Power Block is not a very good ability at all. But Krong doesn't play the Winston. He doesn't play the what I would consider the good dive heroes like Ball and Winston this meta, and this is kind of what happens when you play Krong on a dive map and you're a team that doesn't play Rio anymore, is you have to settle for the Doom, which is, Krong is already not the best Doom. I think he's an average Doom, but on top of that, Doom itself as a character gives him no favors.
Yeah, well, that's one more step towards that Midseason Madness tournament here with the side of the Fusion, but like we said, the road is not over for them yet. Chengdu Hunters still can absolutely play spoiler, and the Shanghai Dragons, the other team in this series, can absolutely still move up, so everything's still to play for in this next series, Avril.
Yeah, certainly. I think, Hunters, they have to win this next game. Otherwise, they're out of Midseason Madness contention. Shanghai Dragons, though, on the other end, if they can start winning some games versus the last two teams, they can actually sneak up and move ahead of the Spark to get that second seed. So that second seed for Midseason out of APAC is still open between Spark and Dragons. Either team could actually get it at this stage.
All right, well, we'll see who's going to be able to win this one.